deterrence tested. Superpowers tremble.
The peace they feared just went up in smoke.
Kremlin panic. In theaters now.
The nuclear genie is climbing out of the bottle. Russia's defense minister just made an emergency dash to the Kremlin with a message that should chill your blood. Putin wants full-scale nuclear tests, not computer simulations, not system checks, actual mushroom clouds. This comes hours after Trump's order of America's first nuclear readiness test in 33 years. But here's what the media won't tell you. Russia isn't testing for defense. They're testing because they're terrified. Trump just called their bluff on 3 decades of nuclear cheating, and Moscow's scrambling to prove they still have teeth. The Cold War didn't end. It just took a nap, and now it's wide awake. With nuclear tensions rising and doomsday preppers stocking bunkers, there's one thing they're forgetting. Your body needs maintenance, too. Stress from global chaos ages you faster than radiation. In a recent clinical trial, women who took 2.5 grams of collagen peptides daily saw a 25% reduction in eye wrinkle depth in just 8 weeks. While Putin panics about missile tests, I'm using BioTrust ageless multi-collagen to combat the stress lines from watching this madness unfold. 5 premium collagen types working to strengthen skin, joints, and bones, because when the world's going crazy, at least you can control your health. Nuclear winter might age you overnight, but collagen fights back. For a limited time, get 51% off BioTrust ageless multi-collagen at healthwithgary.com. Stay strong inside and out while the superpowers play chicken. So this is the post 6 hours ago from Russia Today. I think it's expedient to start preparing for full-scale nuclear tests, Russian Minister of Defense Belousov tells Putin. Says that Trump's desire for nuclear weapons tests greatly increases the level of nuclear danger in Russia. Now, I would play this clip, but Russia Today loves to give copyright strikes, so I'll read the tweet. But we have this from Tom Cotton, who says Trump is right.
I know that Tom Cotton, he is chair of the Intelligence Committee and serves on the Armed Services Committee. He's their Senate Republican with President Xi.
Well, Martha, it's a necessary and welcome step. There are several technical reasons why nuclear testing is useful for our nation. And to be clear, we're not talking here about large-scale detonations with mushroom clouds in the desert or in the South Pacific. We're talking about very small, controlled, probably underground detonations. First, it allows us to test older weapons to make sure they're still in the state we believe they are. Second, it allows us to test new weapons and new designs for weapons as we try to meet the threat from Russia and China. 3, it helps our nuclear scientists and everyone involved in the nuclear enterprise maintain skills, and in some cases they've never developed before. And there's a 4th reason, a non-technical reason, and it addresses the point you raised about the timing of this announcement, Martha, is tests of this kind, or even conventional tests of missile launches, for instance, help show resolve and deterrence to China and Russia, that we won't be pushed around, we won't stand idly by while they engage in these kind of tests, we won't turn the other cheek, we'll do what's necessary to make sure our military is more than capable of meeting theirs. That's something Joe Biden refused to do multiple times over.
And now Russia is responding. Russia must start preparing full-scale nuclear drills amidst U.S. increased military activity. That's the post, folks. We have this from J.D. Vance about testing the nuclear arsenal.
Make sure that it's functioning. We have a big arsenal, obviously. The Russians have a large nuclear arsenal. The Chinese have a large nuclear arsenal. Sometimes you've got to test it to make sure that it's functioning and working properly. We've been working very closely, even with nations that we don't have the best relations with, to try to limit nuclear proliferation. The president's going to keep on working on that, but it's an important part of American national security to make sure that this nuclear arsenal we have actually functions properly, and that's part of a testing regime. To be clear, we know that it does work properly, but you got to keep on top of it over time, and the president just wants to make sure that we do that.
We test every element of our nuclear arsenal. Following Trump's comments, nuclear testing will begin again. Ex-White House advisor on nuclear policy John Wolfthal reiterates that testing is already done and is more than sufficient.
Explosive. We test every element of our nuclear arsenal annually. multiple times. From the warheads themselves, there are many ways that you can just test nuclear weapons non-explosively, where you examine different parts of the explosive package, the physics package, surveil the nuclear materials and the electronic subcomponents, as well as the delivery vehicles and the systems that enable the president and his commanders to communicate with those things. We test our nuclear command and control and communication system on a daily basis, multiple times a day.
So what are you trying to say? That Trump shouldn't do it because we're already doing it? U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright on the nuclear tests. I think the tests we're talking about right now are system tests.
System tests.
Is that where these new tests are going to be?
I think the tests we're talking about right now are system tests. These are not nuclear explosions. These are what we call non-critical explosions. So you're testing all the other parts of a nuclear weapon to make sure they deliver the appropriate geometry and they set up the nuclear explosion.
Is that?
No, I mean, I want to see it. I want to see the video of the mushroom clouds over Nevada. I really do. As crazy as it sounds. Here is President Trump in a CBS interview talking about the nuclear weapons.
My understanding nuclear weapons.
I'm saying that we're going to test nuclear weapons like other countries do, yes.
But the only country that's testing nuclear weapons is North Korea. China and Russia are not.
No, Russia's testing nuclear weapons.
My understanding...
And China's testing them too, you just don't know about it.
That would be certainly very newsworthy. My understanding is what Russia did recently was test essentially the delivery systems for nuclear weapons, essentially missiles, which we can do that, but not with nuclear
Russia's
warheads.
testing and China's testing, but they don't talk about it. You know, we're a open society. We're different. We talk about it. We have to talk about it because otherwise you people are going to report. They don't have reporters that are going to be writing about it. We do. No, we're going to test because they test and others test. And certainly North Korea's been testing. Pakistan's been testing.
Not nuclear weapons, is my understanding. North Korea has, but not nuclear
weapons. They
weapons.
don't go and tell you about it. And, you know, as powerful as they are, this is a big world. You don't necessarily know where they're testing. They test way underground where people don't know exactly what's happening with the test. You feel a little bit of a vibration. They test, and we don't test. We have to test. And Russia did make a little bit of a threat the other day when they said they were going to do certain forms of a different level of testing.
The testing will commence. Vladimir Putin signaled Russia may commence nuclear weapons testing if Donald Trump moves forward with the threatened U.S. atomic weapons trials. Here is a translation from AP on Bloomberg.
Гражданским вредом. Поручаю Министерству иностранных дел, Министерству обороны Российской Федерации, специальным службам и гражданским ведомствам, соответствующим гражданским ведомствам.
Special services, relevant civilian agencies.
Сделать все для того, чтобы собрать дополнительную информацию по этому вопросу. Провести ее анализ на площадке Совета Безопасности и внести согласованные предложения о возможном начале работы по подготовке испытаний ядерного оружия.
Мы должны поддерживать наш ядерный потенциал в готовности к нанесению противника неприемлемого ущерба в любых условиях обстановки, действовать адекватно в ответ на шаги Вашингтона в интересах гарантированного обеспечения безопасности нашей страны. С учетом вышеизложенного считаю целесообразным подготовку к полномасштабным ядерным испытаниям начать немедленно.
Oh, man. President Trump, 41 minutes ago, Fox News.
We make the best. I rebuilt the military. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. We redid our nuclear. We're the #1 nuclear power, which I hate to admit because it's so horrible. It's such a horrible situation if it ever has to be used. Russia's second. China's a distant third, but they'll catch us within 4 or 5 years. They want to catch us, and they'll be able to catch us, and we're maybe working on a plan to denuclearize the three of us, so we'll see if that works. I rebuilt.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the price of weakness. For 33 years, America sat idle while Russia and China modernized their arsenals. They tested in secret while we trusted treaties written on toilet paper. Now Trump's ending the charade. 1 Minuteman, 3 tests, and Putin's entire military doctrine crumbles. He knows his rusted Soviet relics can't match American tech. That's why Belousov sprinted to the Kremlin, screaming about nuclear danger. They're not afraid of our tests, they're afraid of what our tests will reveal: American supremacy. The establishment will cry about escalation, the globalists will demand negotiations, but Trump understands peace through strength. You can't deter evil with good intentions, you deter it with bigger bombs. So here's the question: should America match every Russian nuclear test with 2 of our own? Yes or no? Drop your answer below and show your support for American strength with some Next News merch at the link in the description.